I'm Captain Cliff, and you're listening to the History of Aviation podcast.
Hello and welcome to the History of Aviation podcast. I'm Derek Beeler. Thanks for making us a part of your day. On today's episode number 89, the Tennessee Museum of Aviation recap, the executive producer's cut. This is Julie's first time on location with us. But first off, let's introduce the guys. What's going on, Julie and Martinson?
Well, hello, guys. Thank you for having me back on the podcast. It's truly a pleasure to be here and to be surrounded by such talented and inspiring people. And so I look forward to this podcast and to hear what Julie has to say to us today.
Shay Jones, producer extraordinaire. How's it going, bud?
Oh, doing pretty good. Just getting to the important stuff now. See what we're talking about today. Let me see.
Exactly.
Nah, I'm just playing with you. I'm doing good. What are you up to?
For the first time in History of Aviation podcast, our executive producer, Julie, leaves the studio behind. In this special EP's cut, we recap Julie's first on-location shoot at the Tennessee Museum of Aviation. And I'd like for the first time to introduce our executive producer, Julie Davis. How's it going, Julie?
Pretty good. It's fun to be on this side of the camera for a change.
Yeah, you're always, and I was going to talk about that and touch on a little bit. I know Julian really appreciates your work, and you do a lot of behind-the-scenes work for us. Mm-hmm. Getting guests lined up, you're constantly on there doing all the emails, and I don't know how I got you on camera today, but I did.
You may never do it again, but miracles happen every once in a while, so here we are. And I want to touch on one thing. You know, we loaded up the cameras, we loaded up the crew, which was me and Julie this time. Everybody else was busy doing other things. So me and Julie went down and visited Neal and Rhonda Melton at the Tennessee Museum of Aviation. Mm-hmm. And I want to speak for just a minute about our tour guide, Jerry. So every first timer needs a mentor. We couldn't have asked for a better one than Jerry. He took Julie under his wing, literally walking her through 50,000 square feet facility and sharing the kind of stories you can't find in history books. From the airworthy warbirds to the smaller personal effects, Jerry made sure Julie's first time on site was one for the books. Would you agree with that, Julie? Oh, absolutely. Jerry was amazing.
Yeah, and you can go on our TikTok and check out Jerry. He's kind of becoming a legend here as of late. But I want to jump in and ask you a couple of questions, Julie, because you are the executive producer of this podcast. You're not necessarily an aviation enthusiast per se. You're more of a podcast expert per se. So I want to ask you a couple of questions. So what were your feelings the first time being on location, first off, and how special was it with your Tennessee roots that it was the Tennessee Museum of Aviation?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun to actually get to go and do something other than sit at the computer and send emails and do, administrative stuff like that. It was really cool to go see that kind of history right there in our backyard. Like you said, I'm not an aviation enthusiast. I'm kind of new to all this. So it was really cool for me to get to see that much history, and the fact that there's that big of a piece of our history right here in our backyard was really, really cool.
It is. There isn't anywhere you can go here. I mean, you want Aviation Museum from East Tennessee. You're looking at Dayton, Ohio. I think we talked about one down in Georgia, somewhere we talked about.
I think so.
So you're looking with pretty good ways to get aviation. And we're very fortunate to have, that kind of museum in our backyard, basically, like you say, an hour away where you can visit at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How did Jerry's storytelling help you connect with the living history of the museum?
Oh my God. I can't say enough great things about Jerry, y'all. If you ever make it out to the museum, ask for Jerry, tell him we said hello. But he's such a great wealth of knowledge. He really is. He's got so much experience, and just the way he talks about all the different historical pieces and the different planes and things that are there, you really can connect to the history of this aircraft from just, you can tell the passion that he has for it.
Yeah, he knows every piece in there. So definitely, if you're there, look up Jerry.
So the final question here for this is, Julie, describe the sights, the sounds, and the smells of an aviation museum? Because we all know some of the sounds, sights, and smells of other types of museums. So how does this one differ?
Yeah, this one was a little bit different. Just walking in there. When you walk in, the first part that you're going to go through is just a lot of historical displays and things before you get into the part where all the planes are. Both parts are equally really cool. But just the feeling of walking in there and seeing all these displays and being surrounded by all of this history is kind of unreal. It kind of hits you when you walk in and you see all of this. And then, you kind of get through the displays and stuff, and you open the doors and you walk into that hangar, and it hits you. You are standing in the shadows of major pieces of our country's history. It's a really special moment. I don't know the best way to really kind of put it into better words than that. But it was a really, really cool moment. I didn't expect to connect to it the way I did. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, aviation
awesome.
has a real tendency to reach out and grab people, because one thing you can always say about it is airplanes are cool, guys.
Absolutely.
They really are. So for our next segment, I want to do a fun little segment here. Julie's Producer Notes Field Edition. So the first question in that is, what is the biggest difference between managing a show about airplanes and actually standing beside one up close and personal for your first time?
Yeah, it was really it was fun to leave the office behind. Like I said, getting the chance to go out and see something like that. I sit behind the scenes every time y'all do a podcast. I'm sitting over at my computer, and I hear y'all talk about this aircraft, that aircraft, all this stuff, but I never really connected to it like I did until I was there on location, seeing some of this aircraft firsthand. So it was really cool to kind of get a chance to be there, to get a physical sense of what some of the aircraft that y'all talk about all the time are, what they look like, that kind of thing, and just kind of get a feel more for the things y'all are talking about. I'm still very new to aviation. I'm still learning. So I was like a kid on a field trip this day. It was really fun.
I bet.
Yeah. So when we look at the history of aviation, it's really an accomplishment or a tribute to the progress of mankind in achieving accomplishments, defying the laws of gravity, designing aircraft that go faster, higher, that carry more people. And so if you look at each region or every country, they all make certain claims. This pilot made the first flight across the English Channel or across the United States. But here's a question for Julie. So when you look at the Museum of the Aviation Museum in Tennessee, what accomplishments stood out among all the aircraft that you looked at? And is there something that captured more your attention that would tribute to the human accomplishment in aviation? What's the one thing that kind of captured your attention?
The thing that captured my attention, like the plane, or overall, like the thing I thought was the most unique or the coolest little.
Yeah, overall, or a specific plane, or a person that striked your curiosity, or that made an impression on you.
Yeah. So one thing I guess that really kind of caught my attention, kind of, little mind blowing things, I guess. And I don't know, Derek can talk about his thoughts on this. I like the history, I know more about history than I do about the aircraft, but I like the history and stuff. And so I learned some stuff I did not know. One thing that stands out to me was we were walking through and we were looking at all these different historical pieces, and we got to this World War II exhibit, and I had no idea they had this scarf, right? And it talked about the pilots that would have this scarf, and on this scarf was printed the map of where they were going. So if they ended up in a situation where they had an emergency situation, they had that scarf, they had the map of where they were to kind of navigate or kind of get out of that area. And I just thought that was really interesting to me. It's a little thing, but it's really kind of cool. I never knew that, A
map you can wear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that either.
Which plane was the most camera ready for our social media page?
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of cool planes in there, really cool planes. The one that jumped out at me, you couldn't really miss it because it's the Albatross. It's huge. It's right in the middle when you walk in there. It's just kind of like, hello, there's this giant and then there's all these others around it.
It's literally, there's the Albatross is in the middle and some of the other planes are actually under the wings of the Albatross.
It's wild how huge it was. Yeah.
I can definitely see that standing out. But one thing that I think we all sitting here and all the listeners or all the viewers, the gift shop's a really cool place.
I think that was Derek's highlight. We got done and he was like, let's go to the gift shop. Yeah, that was cool. They got a lot of good stuff in there for sure.
Yeah, I think that's any museum you go to, you always, it doesn't matter if it's aviation or what kind of museum it is, you exit through the gift shop.
Right.
So the gifts, so the gift shop is always cool. So I had a lot of fun with that. But the Tennessee Museum of Aviation is special to me. I've been there, I would say over 100 times.
Wow.
Since its opening in 2000.
Okay.
Have they changed it up since you've been there?
Yeah. It's constantly changing. It's a revolving door of aircraft. There's aircraft outside, weather permitting. You can actually step outside and look at some of the aircraft out there, which they're always evolving as well.
That's pretty cool. Well, sweet.
So let's.
Do they have any aircraft that you can actually climb into the cockpit at all and look at some of the buttons?
It's not the full aircraft, but they do have a cockpit. There's actually a video coming out very soon on me sitting in that cockpit, acting like a 8-year-old child.
Oh yeah, that was fun watching him climb in there, and you talk about
red
how
one,
awesome it was.
Daddy. No.
Yeah, very hands-on. And another thing too that you can see on our TikTok is the movie aircraft, whereas the wings have been taken off, the tail's been taken off, and these are aircraft fuselages that they use to film movies. So there's about 4 of those in there, different aircraft that was used in movies. Yeah, so that was really cool. Yeah, it's like it's I want to talk to you guys. Shay, you've got, I don't know what your closest aviation museum is, but you do have the big transportation museum up there.
Yeah,
in Maine.
Yeah, we've got a couple of different. We have the giant transportation museum, and I'm pretty sure they have a couple of aviation type related things in there, but it pretty much focuses on anything transportation, like any car, snowmobiles, trains. They got old horse-drawn fire engines, which was really cool, like on sleds. That's really neat. And then we have right, exactly right.
Hopefully, I was going to say, hopefully those don't still have the original horses attached.
No, not at all.
I was making sure.
So, then on top of that, at the Bangor International Airport, we have the Troop Greeters Museum. So they've been a group of volunteers, military, non-military, just showing up whenever military folks arrive, as long as it's not top secret and they're not supposed to be known that they're arriving. If they're allowed to know, then all these people will show up and they'll come through and they'll clap for them, and then they'll go through, get their food. And then after they've had their food for a while, the greeters will go and just chat with them. It's like, hey, what's going on, bud? Welcome home. Tell me about your experience. And there's usually like so many cool stories. They have so many cool pins and patches and all, you name it. And so now they have this one room up on the second level where you can just go in there and take a look and see all these pins and all these patches and all these stories of men and women that have served and lived to tell the tale. So that's really cool.
That is awesome. Julian, what do you have up Canada way for not necessarily just aviation, but what do you got up there museum wise?
Well, here in Kelowna, we have the Center of Excellence, which is also an aviation museum. They have 19 aircraft inside. I believe it's about 50,000 square feet of interior space. So they do focus a little bit on the history of aviation with the aircraft, obviously, but they also have two cockpits, so one simulator and a reclaimed cockpit, and so the kids can go inside and sit inside a cockpit that they used for simulator training. And so this is particularly interesting for young kids who want to not only take some pictures for Facebook, but also get a little bit of inspiration of what it would be like to become a pilot and the types of issues that pilots deal with. And so pilot careers by themselves are it's very vast, because you could think about private pilot, commercial pilot, or corporate pilot, but there's also helicopter pilots. So in areas where there's more terrain or mountainous terrain, then you're going to have a higher demand for helicopter pilots. And there's seaplane pilots, ambulance pilots, humanitarian aid pilots. So there's the role of a pilot is very vast. And we can also talk about landing surfaces, which we did a podcast on that. But what I found interesting with the Center of Excellence is that they also focused on the airport here in Kelowna and the role that it plays. So it showed a little bit of the runway configuration, the types of aircraft that land there. And so with an airport like that is smaller, Kelowna serves 2 million passengers per year. The runway length really restricts the amount or type of airplanes that are able to land there. And so the bigger aircraft are not able to land because the runway is too short. And so for smaller airports, if they want to attract larger airplanes, they have to extend the runway. And so this was a question that I don't know if Julia is able to comment on, if the Tennessee Museum has any explanations on the role of aviation in the state of Tennessee, and does it talk any bit about the financial impact, the amount of direct jobs or indirect jobs or induced employment created by the airport and aviation in that area. So I don't know if the museum talks about that, but it's always interesting because usually an airport is not only the first impression that people have when they arrive at a destination, but it also is an economic powerhouse. So lots of jobs in commerce and trade and global connectivity are linked to that airport. And so on a little in a bigger perspective, I'm wondering if the museum had touched on any of those types of subjects.
Yeah, the Tennessee Museum of Aviation is the home of the Tennessee Aviators Hall of Fame, which is aviators that are all across East Tennessee. Some of those names, Mama Bird up in Morristown, which was a famous flight instructor, country singer Aaron Tippin. They have an entire wall of Tennesseans that they've put into the Tennessee Aviators Hall of Fame. So yes, it's a huge tribute to Tennessee and aviation in general, because they even have events there for all the people that's in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And one of the big things is this museum is located in Pigeon Forge Airport, Pigeon Forge Sevierville Airport. And Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg are probably wouldn't you say, Julie, one of Tennessee's biggest tourist attractions?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I know there's folks that are listening to this podcast right now that have been to Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg. This museum is right down the road. It is located at the other end of the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge Airport, 135 Air Museum Way, Sevierville, Tennessee 37862. Ample parking. General admission is $18, ages 13 to 59. Seniors 60 plus is $15. Military, active veteran ID, $13. Children 6 to 12, $12. Local perk, Sevier County residents see a special rate with their photo ID. So we were there on a Saturday. It was pretty busy. Mm-hmm. Off the beaten path a little bit from downtown Pigeon Forge or downtown Gatlinburg, but the accessibility is great. The museum's great. The museum is hands down one of the most well lit aviation museums I've ever been in. I know that's a minor thing, but we were filming and stuff, and you can see on our TikTok videos, which you can see all the little sections of what we were doing. Very well lit museum, which is big to me.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We don't get to go on location a lot, but Shay, speaking of going on location, we got a big one coming up, and actually we just learned today we're adding another one to that.
Another location to the location.
Another location to the
so
location.
So we got an on location.
Holy location, Batman.
Yeah, we got back-to-back days of on location stuff.
Yeah, in April we are headed down to Pensacola. We are, and
I'm super excited.
The Naval Air Museum there in Pensacola, and then the very next day we are headed to the USS Alabama, which is not technically an aviation museum, but they house quite a few aircraft in their hangar and outside. So we're going to go around, check all that out, and speak to who we need to speak to and bring that to you. And all these videos that we're doing for the History of Aviation Studio, which is kind of our sister to the actual podcast itself. We're trying to bring a visual, and we're trying to get out on location more. So definitely look for more of that. But our TikTok and YouTube shorts, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, there's so many to announce, but every time that we put out a video, it goes on all those platforms. So whichever one is your platform, you can follow us there. And all those links will be in the description below of the podcast. Julie, thank you so much for stepping out of the office and jumping on and tell us. We really wanted to give a non-aviation enthusiast take on the museum, and I think you did a really great job, and we appreciate all the work that you do.
Yeah, sure. It was fun.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
Julian, what have you got going on with your aviation career coaching?
Well, we're in the process of revamping the website. So that's in progress. That'll be coming up in about a month or two. We'll have a new website revamped. Also in the process of editing my third book called The Future Trends in Aviation and Their Career Paths. And we talk about environmental issues, CO2 gases, recycling, as well as digital twin. So I was explaining to Shay yesterday that aircraft, they have an aircraft, but they also have the digital twin. And so they can subject the digital twin, which is a computer version of the aircraft, to wear and tear and maintenance issues, and make predictability schedules for maintenance and repairs on aircraft and performance, as well as look at other trends such as diversity and inclusion. And as the aviation industry grows and becomes more globally connected and integrated, may face some challenges related to the emerging countries taking over a larger market share, keeping in mind that the aviation industry is based on Western standards and culture. And so as the aviation grows, that we'll have to adopt and adapt to other countries and other peoples with their desires and what their standards are for customer service and the perception of travel. So we talk a lot about those issues, and that should be coming out in about 4 to 8 weeks, available on Amazon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That is great. And thank you guys again. But before we close, I want to give a big shout out to Will D. He could not be with us today. He had other things going on. So big shout out to Will. Look forward to having you on the next episode.
Coolness. Can I come too?
Sure.
Okay.
For Julian Martison, Shay Jones, producer, Julie Davis, executive producer, I'm Derek Beeler. Thanks for listening to the History of Aviation podcast.
See you later.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure having you.
I'm Captain Cliff, and you're listening to the History of Aviation podcast.